killer. I drop bombs like Hiroshima.
Somebody said, look at LeakYou video. What the fuck is LeakYou? Is it like a site? What's LeakYou? LeakYou. Is it a YouTube channel? Oh, shit. Oh, all right, bet. Here we go.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
One, two, three, four.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks, depending on where you are across the world. I am restarting the Twitter feed because I accidentally screwed it up when I left out a few things. I have fixed that. So the intro won't be there, but we're already live on Twitter and I already see y'all coming in. Anyway, there has been a very, I hope y'all have had a fantastic week. All right. This past weekend, shout out to those of you on Instagram. Shout out to those of you on Rumble as well. I had a very interesting week, and let's just say I've been dealing with skunk, but it's not the kind of skunk that I would like to be dealing with, if you get what I mean. I had let's just say Biscuit had an unfortunate run-in again with a skunk and got a direct shot in the face about 12:30 this morning. And didn't let him come in, had to wash him outside first. Then we proceeded to carefully move him into his crate, where he proceeded to dry off through the night. Where he continued to stay, of course, getting walked out, using the bathroom and all that. But then I just had to give him another bath, and I still smell skunk. I still smell it. But I'm also very sensitive when it comes to sense of smell. So that may be a very big reason why. It's just, y'all, it's been crazy. But listen, I'm not here to talk about skunk. But give me a moment because there does seem to be some sort of an issue happening. What's up with it, Emmanuel? Good to see you. Y'all give me a second because there's something strange happening on Twitter and I want to fix it. So give me a second. So we cannot ride without our Twitter friends, okay? We got to have our Twitter friends. So let's see if we can fix it again here. And I'm going to be talking about a panic that ensued in the last 24 hours by NASA. If you are a space buff, if you like watching things around the International Space Station and the astronauts who are supposedly in space, I know some of you don't think that actually happens. Oh, there was a emergency that situation that went down. I got the audio. I'm going to play it for you. But there was an emergency situation that went down, and it kind of got me to thinking, how has NASA I know that it's managed to lose 2 shuttles, right? We've had the Challenger and we've had the Columbia accident. I happened to be alive when both of those shuttles were destroyed in the air while Challenger was leaving Earth's atmosphere and while Columbia was coming in, and happened to be in East Texas, seeing all of the air power that was going on that day. As I was traveling to East Texas that day, I'll never forget it. There was debris scattered for hundreds of miles all the way across East Texas on that day when Columbia broke up into pieces. We've had some nightmare situations happen with the shuttles, and I managed to be surprised that we've never seemed to have had like an outright space station, like I'm thinking of the movie ISS type of, not end of the world apocalyptic type, but emergency situation. As much as we've had men supposedly going out, doing things in space while being tethered to the craft. I say that to say that NASA is claiming that they accidentally aired a space station emergency drill last night. This has fueled panic. It has fueled public alarm. They have been forced to reassure the public that there is no emergency aboard the ISS, the International Space Station, after audio of a medical drill was accidentally played on a live stream last night. The regular scheduled live stream was interrupted at 6:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time by an unidentified speaker that appeared to be a flight surgeon who was liaisoning with the crew on the ISS on how to deal with a commander suffering from serious compression sickness. The speaker even advised the crew to, quote, check his pulse one more time, end quote, before placing the stricken astronaut inside a suit pumped full of pure oxygen. She says any action would be best effort treatment and better than doing nothing. Then went on to say that unfortunately, the prognosis for the commander is relatively tenuous. She says she is concerned that this was last night, right? That there was some severe DCS or decompression sickness hits, and tells the crew to get him in a suit as soon as possible. Even mentions that there is a hospital in San Fernando, Spain, with hyperbaric treatment facilities, and an apparent suggestion of ordering an emergency evacuation from the space station. But after fueling alarm among many space enthusiasts, including myself, NASA revealed that it wasn't a real scenario, that the ISS crew were all safely sleeping at the time. They went on to say that there is no emergency situation going on aboard the International Space Station. At approximately, and this was their quote, that they put out on Twitter, quote, at approximately 5:28 p.m. Central Standard Time. They do that because of Houston. Houston is in Central Standard. Audio in NASA has a, major complex in Houston. Houston, we got a problem. Hello. They go on to say that audio was aired on the NASA live stream from a, quote, simulation audio channel. Huh? On the ground, indicating that a crew member was experiencing effects related to decompression sickness. This was, quoted by NASA on X, and that the audio was inadvertently misrouted from an ongoing simulation where crew members and ground teams train for various scenarios in space, and it was not related to a real emergency. Okay. The International Space Station crew members were supposedly deep in sleep at the time, all remaining healthy and safe, according to NASA, and that today's spacewalk would start at 8 a.m. Eastern as planned. This is after 2 astronauts from Boeing's Starliner capsule successfully docked with the ISS, okay, last week. Now, I've got the audio here, and we have to listen into this. We got to listen in on this audio. And it is, listen, here's my thing. Here's the problem I have with NASA, right? And I'm always suspect when I hear this sort of a thing. And I hope NASA's not lying to us. I mean, they lie to us all the time. NASA stands for Never a Straight Answer. Okay. It's been its saying, its acronym meaning, I know not really, but really for years, because let's just be honest, NASA, you lie to us about so much. You lie to us about whether life exists outside of human, Homo sapien, okay? You lied to us about a variety of things. Half the world believes we didn't even land on the moon. The other half questions whether we did. And a very small percentage believes that we somehow did. There's, pictures and Photoshop jobs that go on with NASA. And I personally have had experience viewing images directly from NASA's site, thousands of images. Because one of the things I like to do is review images from Mars, the moon, and, all the various images, the various telescopes that we have that we've launched, worldwide, I guess I should say, because it is, it does belong to Earth, although America had a lot to do with that. And it's just that I have seen a lot of Photoshop jobs because I can't help it. My eye's so keen to it because I'm an engineer. And so technically I can literally look at something, I can tell if it's been smudged, blurred out, covered, all that sort of a thing. And I see it on the Mars images and the moon images all the time. It's by the grace of God that we will get an image that hasn't been photoshopped out. And not to mention that there is UFO sightings on a daily basis in this world. Okay, probably here in America, not even talking about the other countries where there are hot spots, specifically Brazil. I'm thinking of Brazil right now. There's been an increase in UFO activity going on there. Villages, we had situations going on with villages even being attacked by beings earlier this year. That has not stopped, by the way, in Peru. It is still ongoing. The face peelers, okay? We even seen an image of a man pulled out of a river with his face peeled back very neatly, very medical-like, if you get what I mean. So, shall we listen to this audio? And as you listen to this audio, I want you to ask yourself, because I think it's only right, how many times has emergencies happened at NASA and they just were not honest with us, right? Is it possible? Like, how I look at the answer that NASA gives, right? About how some audio channel got subverted, right? And put into the feed. How? Give me the technical how it happened. Give me some better, listen, for the last time, we people, not every one of us are idiots out here. I can comprehend very well. And I would like for you to explain, after what we've heard last night, how this accident occurred from a technical standpoint. How did the stream get interrupted with what you are about to hear, folks?
Thank you for clarification. So if we could get Commander back in his suit, get it sealed, and step into procedure 5.180 for suited hyperbaric treatment, section 3 for oxygen post splashdown, that would be my recommendation.
Hey, Emmanuel.
I'll copy.
Hey,
understand that this is a best effort treatment, and so whatever you can do is going to be better than doing nothing. And just as an FYI, prior to sealing, closing the visor and pressurizing the suit, I would like you to check his pulse one more time. I'll copy. Correct. Yes. That would be actually, sis,
Shout
you're
out
on
to
this
Mr.
call.
Dennis
How
Byron in the
much
building.
oxygen do we have remaining in minutes? Perfect. So yes, then I would like you to have 100% O2 flowing via mask while you get the suit on. Prior to closing the visor and pressurizing, I'd like you to do a pulse check one more time.
What?
And then step into 5.180, section 3. Is there a way that the mask can be attached? So is there a way that we could get the suit over the head, have the visor open, and put the mask at least close to his face while you finish sealing up the suit, or is that not feasible? Copy. Copy. Well, I think at this point, because the hypobaric exposure is the big problem, and given his exam, I am concerned that there are some severe DCS hits, and so I would recommend trying to get him in the suit as soon as possible and giving oxygen as best as able during that process. But the best thing would be to get him in the suit at ASAP. And sis, we are okay to deprivatize at this time. Just as a FYI for you, I am still about 1 hour out from MCCX. Unfortunately, we will need to keep doing the phone situation until I am able to be there. I am currently stuck in traffic. I can, while we don't have other flight surgeons on call, while I am stuck in traffic, I can reach out to see if there's anyone who can get there sooner than 1 hour. That being said, there really isn't anything we could do in person that we can't do over the phone at this point. Unfortunately, the prognosis for Commander is relatively tenuous, I'll say, at this point, to keep it generic.
Wow.
So one thing, I don't know if you got this message before, but I did find through Dan, I did find a hospital in Spain that has critical care facilities and hyperbaric treatment facilities.
What?
Would you like me to give you that hospital and their phone number again? Okay, so that is San Carlos, SANCARLOS, in San Fernando, spelled the normal way, and that's in the province of Cadiz, CADIZ, in Spain. And that phone number is country code 34. In the meantime, I will continue my trek in. Otherwise, I will see if a flight surgeon can be there sooner. And then you are free to call me with any updates or any changes. If the crew do get suited and start the treatment and they make a call down, I would request to be updated at that point. Thank you very much. Anything else I can do for you, sis? Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Listen. So imagine being a space buff like myself, right? Who we tune in to these live streams that happen. That NASA gives when there's spacewalks, when they're streaming from the ISS, just to look out in space. And listen, a lot of watchers like us, we see things happening all the time. Unidentified craft, unidentified things that could even be organic in nature, some sort of a creature that maybe we just don't understand when we look at it and view it. Just imagine, we're doing this, we're listening to this all the time when we can, and then we hear something like that. So my number one question is, how did this supposed drill, which is what NASA's claiming this was, how did it end up on the public stream? And here's another thing, right? As soon as this happened, right, about 4 minutes after this occurred, NASA immediately killed the live stream, right? At exactly 6:28 Eastern Standard, they killed the live stream, which is something that they have a habit of doing. I can't tell you how many countless numbers of times I have watched live footage from the ISS and NASA has killed the feed because something suddenly appears. Something suddenly shows up that is unexpected, right? So, listen. Before I continue, guys, feel free to follow me on my official podcast platform at anchor.fm/LeakYou, where you can find me on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I'm also on iHeartRadio. And I also joined another streaming platform recently that escapes my memory at this time because I'm always so busy saying these four. Typically, I just joined iHeartRadio, where you'll be able to find Leak You live streams there. But also my Rumble page. I've been transitioning off YouTube, moving over to Rumble, where I don't have to deal with the Google politics and the nonsense of Google and YouTube's just bullshit guidelines, where, I think that if you show too many teeth, your video won't be monetized. I know some people seem to do well. I don't fall into the norm between those lines when it comes to YouTube. And I'm typically always going over those lines, and I don't even mean to do it. But let's keep it trill. I can be talking about non-human intelligence and catch a strike. I've caught strikes on videos where I'm just showing, the old video of Skinny Bob, for example. I remember catching 2 strikes in a row, getting mystery copyright takedowns. All kinds of weird stuff happens on YouTube. So I've been proudly, with a lot of pride, moving over to Rumble, where Rumble also pays content creators a lot better. All right. And we're in more control of our content, of our creativity, so to speak. So you can find me at rumble.com/C/LeakYou. Now, going to what Ninny in the chat is saying here. Remember when they did the fake landing on the moon? I don't believe none of this. It's all lies. You land rocket, but not people to the moon. I have seen it. I have to see it and be there to believe it. And then Ninny goes on to say, so NASA's all fake and we are lies. And we are lied to. Now, all we need is video evidence on where these astronauts are really at. And let me tell you all, I have seen some video that does make me question our landing on the moon. I'm not even going to lie to you. There is palpable evidence that we did not land on the moon like many thought. Back in the 60s. There's a lot of very palpable evidence to that effect. But we do have satellites for sure that do hover over the moon. It's just sending people is an issue, right? It's such a dangerous trek. And not to mention, there is an old theory that runs in the space communities, depending on how deep that of a rabbit hole you go down in that community. And I go relatively deep in that rabbit hole. But you kind of get into the conspiracy theory aspect of it, right? And there is, a theory that essentially when we went to the moon, we were asked not to return. And we were asked not to return by non-human intelligence, meaning a being that is not human. We can call it an alien. We can call it a reptilian. We can call it whatever you want to call it. But it was not human. There's even talk, William Tompkins has did discussions shown on Cosmic Disclosure about how during one landing on the moon, reptilians surrounded a crater standing next to their craft, and there were conversations ongoing. It's very wild stuff. And I'll leave you with this wild story if you're interested. Look up the Moon Girl, the Polynesian lady that was found in a 1 mile long spacecraft that's been sitting on the moon for God knows how many years, that we supposedly made a trip, Apollo 20, a mission to this place, all right, to the moon, where we essentially was able to get into this 1 mile long craft. And they came upon the body of 2 beings, but one of them was a Polynesian looking woman, and we've talked about it on this channel before. It's probably worthy of doing another live just to kind of invigorate the story a little bit. But they call her the Mona Lisa girl, the Moon Lady, she's also known as. But what was interesting about her is she had like 30 to 40% of her body seemed to be tattooed in some sort of like circuitry, computer type circuitry. And she was there. She looked as if she was in a sort of stasis, meaning asleep, like a permanent type of sleep. She did not look deceased at all. There's, like I said, no telling how many years that body laid in that craft. And, there's talk that body was actually brought down from that craft and is in the possession of NASA. Again, you can find the story if you could just go and search Apollo 20, the Mona Lisa lady. But anyway, again, we talk about all of that, but then there's also a huge percentage of the world population that does not believe that we've ever landed on the moon, or that we landed later than what we initially told the world, meaning Americans, okay? There was a lot of video footage that came out showing people being suspended by, suspensions, pretending to be doing things on craft, but it was clearly being filmed here on Earth in Los Angeles, California. So, with that being said, I say this with like 95% certainty that we don't have an emergency happening on the International Space Station right now. But again, I leave, 5 points there. I leave a 5% chance that NASA is not being honest with us just because of past experience and what they've done in the past with all the lies, all the hiding, and like I've always said, especially when it comes to images and photos and video and things like that, NASA will always do much better in having the world, as the whole world having access to these images, having all of those various eyes on these images to be able to pick out things, instead of regulating that or relegating that to a team that works for NASA, maybe 5-6 people, where we know that things are going to be missed. Why not let the world sort through the images and put their eyes on it instead of just limiting it to just a few people? And again, NASA, your salaries are paid by U.S. tax dollars. Better believe that. Okay? Every time when I have a FICA pull for my paycheck, all right, part of that is going towards NASA and all these programs. And when we talk about NASA and all its hidden programs, we have a whole segment of black ops, happening in our government, secret black projects that are in the trillions of dollars, all right, as far as budget-wise, every year that we are paying for. Yet our government continues to sit up there and lie to us in our faces. The Pentagon's Aero Office will continue to lie to us directly in our faces because they don't believe that we have the intelligence to understand anything that broaches on something that's not human, meaning the presence of other life, of NHI, the acronym that's been going around, social media platform to social media platform, non-human intelligence. They think that we're too stupid to comprehend or understand it. But I'll tell you this, any threat that exists in this world that potentially is threatening to me or my family, I have a right to know. But somehow, these people in our government, in the American government, doesn't think that we have the right to know. Now, will another country out their programs before the United States gets an opportunity to do so? And could that be something that could force disclosure to happen? Maybe. Maybe. But also at the same time, think about all of those so-called benefits that come with not telling a soul, right? We're talking about technologies that don't exist worldwide, that, these people get greedy and they get this knowledge. They hold on to this knowledge, right? And they don't let it go. They don't think that anyone, because it's not even just the fact that they think we're too stupid to understand or comprehend. There's greed involved. Let's not get it twisted. There's absolutely greed involved here. Okay. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, these aerospace companies have built craft, but yet they do it in a manner that is considered top secret, and many of us don't even know about it. But it's happening. This stuff is happening, you all. There are things happening that we just don't understand. And I'll close with this as I wind down. Remember in my last, one of my last streams that I did, we went over a 4chan whistleblower's amazing, fascinating tale that they put on 4chan, which is pretty much, it is an appropriate place for some whistleblowers, right? It's anonymous. 4chan is anonymous. It guarantees that you will be anonymous. And that's it's attractive for that reason. And as we were reading through this information that this whistleblower was giving us, one of the things that the whistleblower spoke to is how these craft are built to spec every time. And when these craft leave this area where they believe that they're building them, which happens to be in the middle of the ocean, okay, specifically in an area east of Florida where the Bermuda Triangle is located, okay? It may be a cause for some of these planes and boats and things that have disappeared in that area, because anything that's been perceived as a threat has been literally wiped out with energy weapons. Bam, just obliterated, vaporized. We've even sent subs and planes towards that location previously, according to this whistleblower. They were absolutely vaporized. Okay. They probably didn't even know what hit them when it hit them. They didn't even know what hit them. But these craft are built to spec. And when they leave this specific area, they do whatever job they do, and they return to what the whistleblower thinks is, presumably to be melted down and rebuilt into another craft to spec. Even they have, he talked about how they have various different types of craft, including mining craft, which is mining elements out of Earth's land, out of the earth, research vessels that have tools built. And these craft are built to spec so meticulously that these tools, the placement where these tools would go is created. It's amazing stuff. It's absolutely amazing, and I think worthy of another review, because you know how sometimes you can go through something and you'll miss something the first time. But just think about that for a second. And the other thing that really stood out to me is the fact that when these crafts crash, these beings, they don't try to recover these craft for whatever reason. For whatever reason, they do not try to recover these craft. And they try to avoid certain areas. And I thought what was interesting is also how their navigation system works. Okay. A lot of interesting stuff. But as we close, you all, NASA is saying that there's nothing to worry about. All right. Don't be alarmed. Don't be panicked. That there is not an actual emergency happening, that it was just an emergency drill. So, with that said, allow me to pay a few bills if you don't mind. Shout out to the LeakYou community. Please join us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
All right, guys. Listen, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through, checking out the live stream to all platforms that I stream on. Definitely make sure you like the video, share me out, and follow, subscribe to the platform, because this is the type of content I bring all the time. I do have an expectation that I will be live again later on this evening. So keep your notifications on, guys. Until next time.
The judgment sentence that you are an asshole. The trial is over. Thank you, everybody.
Let's play a game. You have 10 seconds to take all your stuff and get out of my life. 10, 9, 8.
God bless you, motherfucker.
You're really smart. Like really, really, really smart like I am.